Oh, yeah. As long as they're, you know, as long as they're for safe and sane policies, I'm with it. Doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You just have to have a little bit of common sense and not be from the far radical left. But nonetheless, you guys, about that. My story, all right, I just have to warn you guys straight up. This story is long AF, okay? And if you want to know all of the details, I encourage you to head over to our website and read it, www.highat9news.com. It'll take you probably about 12 minutes to read the whole thing, okay? But it's a big, big, big story because they're saying, oh, man. Here we go, guys. Here's the title of the headline. Stizzy's founder built a legal cannabis empire while being a landlord to black market dispensaries, you guys. Oh, boy. And I put this into an AI chat, so it's going to cover a bunch of topic points, and so I hope I can cover this for you guys. Amazing.
Crazy.
Yes. The sign on the building said Jerry's Liquor, but inside, Compton code enforcement inspectors found a cannabis dispensary called Fly High 20 Collective. The city claimed the dispensary was owned by Tony Hung, the man behind one of the cannabis industry's biggest and most successful companies. Hung's holding companies owned 9 properties that authorities have identified as sites of illegal dispensaries, according to a Times review of property, court, and tax records. Hung declined to be interviewed and said he tried to evict tenants who were operating illegal dispensaries on his properties. He also said he wasn't aware of or involved in illegal cannabis sales at his Compton property. Black market dispensaries have flourished in California even after legalized retail cannabis sales in 2018, and these illicit operations undercut the legal market by evading taxes and licensing fees and ignore zoning restrictions and public testing requirements enacted to protect the public. Hong, 41, started out as a cultivator and eventually took a job as a bud tender at a medical dispensary back in Marina del Rey, and in 2014, Hung opened a licensed dispensary in Santa Ana, but was also charged with several felonies. He pleaded no contest to manufacturing hashish and vandalism and served 15 weeks in jail, but his spokesman said he spent 10 days in custody and served the rest under house arrest. In 2017, Hung co-founded Stizzy with James Kim, and Kim has courted the media, sharing his story of using cannabis to cope with post-traumatic stress disorder after military service in Iraq. Stizzy boomed, earning $46 million in 2020. Its parent company, the Shrine Group, has issued news releases showing its executives presenting checks to local officials to fund improvements to parks and schools, and Hung applied for a Pasadena license to open a dispensary, but the city was investigating an illegal dispensary at a building he owned. The city cited and fined Hung, but his lawyer promised to evict the tenant, but the dispensary stayed open. Hung urged the city to raid his building after the tenant refused to leave, and 8 months later, he sold the space to an opportunist, the tenant Amy Shadi Diaz, a 22-year-old. Hung's former tenant Diaz decepted as a phantom-like figure in court records, is being sought for murder after she stopped coming to court. And over a 16-month period, Diaz leased at least 8 properties in South Los Angeles, Huntington Park, North Hollywood, Compton, San Bernardino, that authorities identified as illegal dispensaries, according to a review of eviction cases. The monthly rents for each building ranged from $2,000 all the way up to $10,000. And Diaz acknowledged working for illegal dispensaries but denied leasing them. She said she never met the man behind the curtain, she says. Diaz got her first job at a dispensary in Compton at 19 and made $12 an hour plus tips, tax-free. After sheriff's raid shut down the dispensary, she found work at other shops in Compton and downtown Los Angeles. In 2018, Diaz said she got a call from a lawyer who said he could make the landlord evict her, and he said she was facing multiple code penalties, no felonies, and no jail time. Diaz received an email from an old high school teacher with a link to a Los Angeles Times article accusing her of selling marijuana laced with toxic chemicals sprayed on golf courses. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. And a representative of the property owner was deposed in the case and testified that a broker contacted him about leasing the property and sent him Diaz's information. The broker claimed that Stizzy was his client. And Spinner said he and his client agreed to lease a property to Diaz without running a credit check or verifying her income. Diaz paid $10,000 a month to rent the building. And after the city sued Diaz, her attorney negotiated a $20,000 fine that she wouldn't have to pay herself. The city obtained a default judgment against Diaz for $8.8 million, and Diaz now wonders if her attorneys were just trying to throw her under the bus. Authorities have filed 2 tax liens against Diaz, seeking $792,300 in back taxes, records show. And Diaz denies knowing the owners of the 2 San Bernardino buildings, where authorities say she signed leases for dispensaries. A month later, a dispensary employee called the police and said 2 security guards had assaulted her. They took her money and product and tried to lock her inside. Hung bought the property in March of 2018 and sold it 3 months after the second robbery, property records show. And state tax authorities began investigating Azusa's finest back in 2021 and seized $1,646 and records showing that the money was picked up 5 times the previous day, totaling $32,517. They concluded that the woman named Reina Mejia should foot the bill for the debt, which occurs $19,826 in interest a month. That's a lot of interest. Hung bought a property on 83rd Street in July of 2017 for investment purposes and settled an abatement case by paying a $50,000 fine. Despite the 2 search warrants, an eviction and sale by Hung's company, Cannabis Sales, continued on 83rd Street. A familiar tenant was named in the evictions, Amy Shaddadi Diaz. That's right, you guys. You couldn't have guessed that. The LAPD raided a dispensary called the Green Garden Collective 4 times between 2019 and April of 2020. The owner, Philip O., bought the building 25 days before the first raid, according to property and court records. After Los Angeles City Attorney Office charged Hung and O with violating the city's prohibition on unlicensed cannabis sales, Periano helped negotiate a deal for Hung. A lawyer representing Hung and Stizzy sent a cease and desist letter to the Times claiming the newspaper had been duped into writing a hit piece by Stizzy's former chief executive, and the Times never spoke of the former CEO of his attorneys. After purchasing a Florence Avenue storefront in 2017, Hung tried to evict the tenants who had opened an illegal dispensary without knowledge, but failed before eventually selling to O. In the complaint, city lawyers called the sale of the Florence Avenue building a sham, and Hung spokesperson said the transactions were legitimate and that the city falsely alleged that he was involved in the illegal cannabis sales. Hung and O agreed to pay the city $450,000 to resolve the case without admitting wrongdoing, and Hung said he paid the fine for convenience only, and that's in quotation marks. Hung bought the old Jerry's Liquor building on Rosecrans Avenue in October of 2018 through a holding company, and the city has charged that the Fly High 20 Collective sold cannabis for years illegally, openly, and notoriously, they say. Hung used the property as collateral to borrow $960,000 from EC Capital Oswego and $900,000 from Cow Lynn Capital Funding, and to purchase investment properties. Authorities identified the Torrance property as an illegal dispensary called Supreme Remedies, and sheriff's deputies raided Fly High 20 Collective on April 20th of 2022 and found 3 safes open and empty prior to their arrival. The dispensary has since shut down and has been used as a dumping ground. The LAPD searched a building back in March of 2019 and found mason jars with labels for cannabis products, tote bags printed with marijuana leaves, and Stizzy cannabis products at the property owner's home. Hung had no connection to White Castle, they say. And that does it for the summer, you guys. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this and all of the drama going on, especially you, Yarrow, cannabis and real estate and cannabis and all of that good stuff, because this sounds it has all of that in there for you, buddy. And this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think?
Sounds like a well thought out scheme that got caught. I mean, that's exactly what happened.
I mean, look, okay, the guy, I mean, Stizzy had $46 million in sales a couple years back. This guy is well hung, okay, and he is being hung by, this tried in the press, okay, and that's another type of hanging. I just want him to call me the next time he's making a real estate move. Call me.
Yes.
I think a couple things. First of all, I think that look, Biden pioneered making property owners liable for the drug-related activities of their tenants with the Rave Act back in the 90s. I think that it's a really slippery slope when we talk about property ownership and that bundle of rights to make landlords liable for things that they're not doing. For starters, I also think we don't have any sense of what this guy's real estate holdings are. Does he own 5 properties, 50 properties, 75 properties? Did he hire a property management or an asset management company? Did they do a poor job? I'm just not ready to say where there's smoke, there's fire. I've dealt with Stizzy on real estate in their growth and expansion strategy in a previous role as a director of real estate at Cannabis. They were always great to work with. They were professional. When I judged the cartridges last year, I'm not going to say it was my favorite cartridge, but in terms of the way that the company presented itself in the limited interactions that I've had with it professionally, they were buttoned up. They were very professional and they were easy to work with. If he did lease to unlicensed operators, and if he did know about it, there's a part of me that doesn't have any heartburn about that either. And I know that's kind of controversial to say, but I don't know. The whole thing sounds like it could be the beginning of a docu-series or a mini drama. I would like to have a supporting role in that. I would like to be.
You want to be the real estate agent?
I want to be the person charged with murder who bought the property back just because, I want that gritty role. It really sounds like it's a full contact sport down there. I'm going to reserve most of my judgment until we have all the facts. And then the other thing that's also really challenging for me is when somebody pays $500,000 to not admit wrongdoing, I'll often wonder, is it a shakedown or is that an equitable remedy? If somebody wants $500,000 from a private party to resolve something, I just wonder how much there is there. Because if it's really nefarious, unfortunately, my limited experience is the government won't take money in lieu of something else.
I want $500,000 myself just to settle some things too.
It'd be nice.
That'd be fantastic.
Nice way to end.
As we know, all of the local governments of these small towns in Southern California are by and large corrupt, and I could definitely see this being some hush money payments, enveloped in some other kind of remedies that are equitable, maybe. But someone got it in their mind that, hey, we'll let these guys operate. We know they're illegal. We know they're not licensed, but we'll make them pay at the end of the day. And I think when bureaucrats start playing that kind of game, it's really dangerous, and it kind of upends our democracy a little bit. But this is Southern California. I mean, this is the what is it, the 6th largest economy in the world. So I mean, they're gonna do as they please. And if you're doing things on the low, and they find out, you better have some deep pockets. And